What's up, fantasy people? Today, I'm going to be helping you decide which wide receiver should be in your starting fantasy lineups. That means I got the top 5 best and the top 5 worst wide receiver cornerback matchups heading into week 5, man. And first off is somebody that's so hot when Justin Fields is playing, even when he's not, man. Garrett Wilson. All right. So New York Jets, right wide receiver. He is at 92.7 route participation on the year. Okay. So 90 plus is elite. He's elite plus right now. And hey, man, he's running routes pretty much out of every single position, but mostly from the right wide receiver position. And his target share right now is 25.7%. Oh my God, man. We want 24 plus there. And that's a target percentage only on the routes that he is running. It is not his overall. So when he's on the sidelines, not running routes, 7% of the time, that target share is now not counting against him. Right here in this category is fantasy points per route run. It's only at 0.33. So I'm looking for that number to get 0.45 by the end of the season, especially with Justin Fields, because 0.33 is just okay. 0.45 is good. 0.55 plus is elite. And hey, guess what? I think he's going to be elite this weekend. He's going against Dallas, right? Start everybody versus Dallas. Kaiir Elam. I told you about him last week. Well, guess what, man? He sucked again. He is never plays the slot, so he plays on the outsides. Garrett Wilson runs all the routes. Everybody else is like at 60% route participation on that team. So he's going to be seeing Kaiir Elam a ton. And opposing offenses are targeting this cornerback 18.1% of the time. So opposing offensive coordinators are like, hey, man, target this dude. If you're like 18% plus, that is elite. If you're, looking for a cornerback to target. And then his fantasy points per route run he's given up is the most in the league at 0.52. Holy shit. So Garrett Wilson should go off this weekend. Hey, and then I own this next guy. I told you to draft him. Carolina's wide receiver, Ted McMillan, okay? 88.1 route participation, man. Everybody on that team is like at 40% route participation except for him. And he's going against Miami's Jack Jones, who plays plays left cornerback. So he's going to be guarding the right wide receiver most of the time. And Ted McMillan, if you look at it, some websites are not going to have him lined up with him, but you got to look at the route participation, man, because everybody that has right wide receiver, more percentage than him, higher percentage, has, again, like a 40% route participation. So King Tet is going to be seeing this cornerback the most out of anybody on his team, okay? His, his target share right now is still 22.5%. He's at 8 plus targets every single game this year, so that's great. 0.32 fantasy points per route run, very similar to Garrett Wilson. We want that to go higher. He is a rookie. I expect it to be 0.45, 0.50 by the end of the season. Come on, Bryce Young, dude. Do what you did last year and turn it around in the half. And again, man, he gets Miami. So we're targeting Dallas. We're targeting Miami, right? This is Miami's worst cornerback. Yes, please. So he's being targeted 16.3% of the times. I'm surprised. He's been on this list for like 3 weeks in a row. That number should be nearing 18% very soon, and he's allowing the second most fantasy points per route run in the league at 0.46. So right now, man, King Tet, he's been borderline startable. He's gonna be very startable this next week. And then, hey, dude, talk about starting. Quentin Johnston and his route participation, I thought would be like at 85%. It is only at 79.5. So he's not out there all the time, but when he is, he's scoring fantasy points, dog. He is on the outsides almost all game long. And his target share, dude, for being that deep target is at 23.9% when he's on the field. That's amazing. And again, he is scoring points when he's on the field, 0.48 fantasy points per route run. You are nearing elite Quentin Johnston. And he's going against, I do like Marshawn Lattimore, Washington's best corner. He's going against Washington's worst corner, man. Mike Sainristil. Anyways, that sounds like a medicine that I'm going to have to take in about 10 years, okay? Anyways, this guy's on the outside as well. He does play in the corner, play in the slot sometimes, so he will be not guarding, Quentin Johnston all the time, but most of the time he will. He's given up the third most fantasy points in the league per route run at 0.43, and opposing defenses are targeting him 18.3% of the time, so that is great. All right, so look for Quentin Johnston to get a little bit more targets and to have a great game. And are you looking for a sleeper, dog? Are you looking for a sleeper, dude? Houston slot wide receiver, Christian Kirk. All right. I told you to draft him like 2 years ago, and then he got injured like right off the bat. 67.4 route participation. That is not great, but he is old, and he is injured, okay? He is the slot wide receiver for this team, which is great because there's not a lot of time to throw. his target share surprisingly is at 21.2% when he's on the field. So that's great. When he's on the field, he gets, more than 1 out of every 5 throws. So I like that. Fantasy points per route run is surprisingly at 0.32. So, hey, man, if the matchup is right, we could start Christian Kirk in deeper leagues, full PPR. And the matchup is right. Okay, so Baltimore, you target everybody against Baltimore as well. You target everybody against Dallas, Miami, Baltimore. And this guy, Marlon Humphrey, I remember when he was a good cornerback. Dude, right now he's one of the worst cornerbacks in the league. He plays only the slot for the most part, just like Christian Kirk, 63%, Marlon Humphrey, 83%. Opposing defenses are still not targeting him that much, only at 15.9%, but he's giving up 0.4 fantasy points per route run. That is high end, man. That's elite as far as what you're trying to target there. So Baltimore, you want to target against, and this guy in particular, you want to target real bad. So Christian Kirk right now, very startable in a deeper league. All right, next up, man, this is hugely important because who's Jackson Dart going to throw it to? Well, as of last week, Darius Slayton stepped into that Malik Nabers role, but he will not be hyper-targeted like Malik Nabers, but still. Darius Slayton, well, Malik Nabers was slated to go against New Orleans' worst cornerback, man. And you want to target New Orleans, Baltimore, Miami, and Dallas. We're taking all their worst cornerbacks, and we're trying to target those people. Dude, Malik Nabers would have had 1,000 points this game, but now we're going to deal with Darius Slayton. His route percentage is at 72.3%. All right, he was not running that many routes. That's going to go up to like 85%. He does run routes on the outside, Malik Nabers-ish. His target share, dude, was at 21% almost when he was running routes, dude. So he is trusted by Brian Daboll. Fantasy points per route run is at 0.24. Look for that to be about 0.35 by the end of the season, filling in with this role. And again, dude, he gets their worst cornerback, Alontae Taylor, New Orleans Saints' worst cornerback. And he plays on, outside 80% of the time, pretty much the same as Darius Slayton. 16.4% of the time opposing defenses are targeting him. So that's not great just yet, but I imagine that number is going to be going up, especially after this game. 0.33 fantasy points per route run this guy's given up. So look for Darius Slayton. If you are in a pinch, and if you're starting Jackson Dart, you want to stack or something like that, you can probably start Darius Slayton, but that's a high risk play right there. All right, let's go to the worst matchups, week 5. First off, man, this guy going to be tweeting some crazy shit after this game. Philadelphia's right wide receiver, it's AJ Brown. His route participation is elite, dude, 90.3%. So he's running a ton of routes. He always plays on the outside. He's getting targeted, man, almost 27% of the time when he's running routes. So that is amazing. He is just not connecting right now. 0.4 fantasy points per route run, man. Just imagine if he was doing well. He'd be like 0.55, 0.6. So there is a lot of potential for AJ Brown to do better, but just not this week because he gets Patrick Surtain, okay? Patrick Surtain is allowing the fewest fantasy points per route run this year. He plays on the outside just like AJ Brown, and he does shadow, so he's going to be on AJ Brown all game. 11.6% of the time he is being targeted. So opposing defenses are like, or offenses are like, dude, stay away from Patrick Surtain. Don't do it. Okay? So yeah, right now, easy pass for me is AJ Brown. If I had him, I probably wouldn't start him, and that is sad. Hey, a guy I would start, maybe in the future, is Tampa Bay slot wide receiver Chris Godwin Jr., man. I've been trying to trade for him. 10 targets. All right, the same as Emeka Egbuka. So, and he only had like 5 fantasy points, dude. Try to trade for him while you still can. His route participation is only at 80.6. That number will go up. 26% on the outsides. He is the slot wide receiver for this team. It's not Sterling Shepard, and it's not Egbuka, especially with Mike Evans out. They need Godwin in the slot, and he's all hobbled and old anyways. Keep him in the slot. His target percentage is at 27.7%, dude. That is elite. So that's amazing. 0.31 fantasy points per route run. That will go up as the year goes on. He was not connecting at all. But the problem is, dude, defenses that I'm avoiding: Denver, Seattle, Kansas City. And here's 3 of these cornerbacks right now. Devin Witherspoon is their best cornerback right now. He's their slot cornerback, plays it at 60% of the time. We'll move it to the outside every once in a while. And opposing defenses are only targeting this guy 12.2% of the time. He's only given up 0.17 fantasy points per route run. So Chris Godwin this week will get the targets, but I expect a low efficiency, 10 points or fewer fantasy points. So you might want to keep him on your bench for one more week. And then, hey, man, I drafted this guy because he fell to me for the first time ever. I thought I was so lucky to get Brian Thomas Jr. Anyways, he's got a terrible matchup this week, man. 85% route participation. That's very good. I watched him. He was passing the eye test, man, on that last Jacksonville game. he looked good. He's just not on the same page as Trevor Lawrence. That's the main issue here, man. He plays on the outside most of the time. Almost a 26% target share, dude. So he has the targets to be successful. 0.4 fantasy points per route run. I call bullshit on that, but I am a owner, so I am very pessimistic against this. He's going against Kansas City's best cornerback, dude. Jalen Watson. He was on this show like last season. He's an amazing and time proven. So he stays on one side most of the time, but yeah, he plays the outsides. He's going to be on Brian Thomas Jr., man, all day. It's going to be terrible. And opposing offenses only target this guy 13.7% of the time, so they know what's up. And he's only given up 0.17 fantasy points per route run. Holy shit, Brian Thomas Jr., you're staying on my bench, dog. But then, hey, Seattle, we just talked about their defense. Let's talk about their offense. Cooper Kupp, man, their slot wide receiver, has a terrible, terrible matchup. People are trying to trade me Cooper Kupp left and right. I don't know what's going on with that. His route participation is, what I would think it would be, almost 80%. He's old, dude, and he's injury prone. So keep that around 80%. He plays in the slot 54% of the time. He does go to the outside, so he will get away from the Tampa Bay's best cornerback. But Tampa Bay's got a couple good cornerbacks, so it's not going to get any easier. His target share, dude, is like 25%. That's amazing when he's running routes. But again, only 78.4% route participation. So he needs to hit big when he's running routes. 0.4 fantasy points per route run. That is good, man. He's going against, though, Tampa Bay's best cornerback. He's a slot cornerback in the slot 50% of the time. Jacob Parrish, dude, he's only being targeted 10.7% of the time. That's insane. 0.19 fantasy points per run allowed, route run allowed. So Cooper Kupp, dude, stay on your bench. Do not get cute. And then another guy that should stay on your bench, do not get cute, especially with Xavier Worthy back. Kansas City's, man, their slot wide receiver running the most routes out of the slot right now is Hollywood Brown. 66.2% route participation, so that's not great. I don't like that, especially when they're desperate for wide receivers. But yeah, running 44% of his routes from the slot, 28% target share, man, and that is because Xavier Worthy's been gone most of the year. And same thing with Rashee Rice. So they're just desperate, man. They're just trying to find somebody. Hollywood Brown was thriving on volume, and now that volume just got turned down, man, almost to a mute. 0.35 fantasy points per route run. That is okay. But the problem is, dude, Jacksonville's defense has been playing pretty well. And he's got their best cornerback, dude, Jordan Lewis. He is the slot cornerback in the slot 87% of the time. Dude, offenses are only targeting this guy a league low, 9.7% of the time. And he's only given up 0.18 fantasy points per route run. So look for Hollywood Brown to get the fewest amount of targets he's had all year. You can't start him. All right, man, real quick, let's go over the wide receivers that we just highlighted with good matchups that we targeted. We want to start, okay? And let's see the scheme that they're going to go against and how they do against man versus zone to see if they get a boost in confidence or if we're going to take away some confidence. Just like Garrett Wilson versus Dallas, man. He's insane versus man. 1.21 fantasy points per route run versus man. That goes all the way down to 0.38 versus zone. Well, guess what, man? Dallas plays zone the most in the NFL. So Garrett Wilson, with an amazing matchup, might be held back a little bit by facing zone the entire game, man. So I still love Garrett Wilson, but maybe temper your expectations a little bit. King Tet versus Miami. He's going insane right now. 0.84 fantasy points per route run versus man. 0.23 versus zone. So he's much better versus man. And Miami plays man the 10th most in the NFL. King Tet is going to be in my starting lineup this week. Quentin Johnson versus Washington is doing better versus man than zone, 0.6 compared to 0.44. And Washington plays man the 7th most. So Quentin Johnson gets a scheme boost. Talk about a boost, man. Christian Kirk versus Baltimore. 0.4 fantasy points versus per route run versus man. And that goes all the way down to 0.09 versus zone. And Baltimore plays man the 8th most. So huge boost to Christian Kirk. If you were in a deep league, man, expect, 8 targets, 60 yards. That's good for PPR. And then Darius Slayton, no data versus man. Apparently he does better versus zone at only 0.15. And New Orleans plays zone the 8th most. So Darius Slayton should be a little bit better this week, I guess. All right, man, if you've got any players that you want me to go over, just drop a comment down below and I will get to it when I can. Hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription. That's exactly what this show needs, man. Please, God. Anyways, this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward. This is the Fantasy Red Zone, and I appreciate you.